BMW IBSF World Cup Finals in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And Saturday afternoon on the 88 Winter Olympic track is Hurry Up Bobsled Afternoon. Women and two-man flip-flopping. First heat, second heat, second heat. Hello, I'm Martin Haven, alongside me John Morgan. And after a dramatic first run for the women, we now get into our two-man race. John, this track, it's supposed to be straightforward and a learner's track, but it's proving to be pretty damaging this week.
Well, there's a lot of changes in the weather. They've been, extremely cold weather conditions. First of all, look at that. 1996, Christoph Langen and Marcus Zimmermann still have the track record here from then. That's the last century, Mark. Easy to go straight here. I mean, it's you can fall asleep, but the responsibilities out of this first curve, you can't tap any walls. Very quiet hands and steering here. Let the sled run, pick up some momentum. Now this quick. Another long straightaway. A lot of straightaways in this track. This was built in the 1986. Curve 5, counter curve, 6, 7, 8, three-quarter combination. Every track's got to have one. This is the omega part of that three-quarter combination. This sets you up for curve 8. Out of curve 8, slingshot on the longest straightaway with the steepest drop at any place on the planet. Now this Kreisel, 300-degree whip around. The exit going uphill, so in a velocity sport with gravity, can't make any mistakes there. Now into 12-13, you still got a chance to get find some speed lines down here. You can win or lose the race in this finish curve. Holcomb in Langton, 2013, that's the track record. I don't think we're gonna see any track records today. The track's just been dealing with too many frigid temperatures. They haven't had chances to water it. Plus, we've had 2 skeleton races last night, skeleton race this morning.
Yep.
Women's bob's already been down.
Yep.
The track's been beat up.
One record we are looking at with interest, though, is that concerning Francesco Friedrich. We've had 7 two-man races this season. He has won them all. Nobody has ever won every race in a World Cup season. Not in two-man, not in four-man, not in women's bob, not in skeleton. We are looking at potentially an epoch-making perfect season.
Something you would think would be intangible.
Yeah.
Couldn't happen.
Well, he's a huge fan of Michael Schumacher, the German Formula One ace, and he is absolutely, there he is, in that position now where he can go and make history that can never be bettered. Somebody could, maybe him, maybe somebody else, match it, but if he wins today, the final race of the World Cup, it will be an astonishing recommendation. 27 sleds from 17 nations in the field, including for the first time ever in World Cup racing, men's Chinese athletes. Only 7 of the 27 drivers here were in the World Cup race 4 years ago. 11 of the 27 have never raced on this track.
Because a lot of them only had a couple trips in training.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of guesswork drives coming up. First up then, making their World Cup debut for China, Yi Junxiao, the 24-year-old driver, and his 21-year-old brakeman Wei Yu, who started the sport in November.
Chinese are coached by Viesturs, who coached the Koreans at the last Olympics, and the 4 years before that, he coached the Russians.
And they've got a driver coach whose name is Andre something, familiar German guy, won a few things.
Lange.
That's the one.
Pretty good driver.
No kidding.
Had a lot of success in this track, including a double gold medal at the 2005 World Championships. Guy Lūders was right behind him.
Yeah. Pierre Lūders, a 6-time Crystal Globe winner in two-man bobsleigh. Andre Lange just once in two-man in his career.
This is the rabbit.
Nice looking drive. Again, the Chinese based here in North America. John, predominantly they've only raced on 4 tracks, mostly Placid, Whistler, Calgary, and a few in Park City.
55.95, that's a second and 44 off the medal.
All right, well,
off the track record.
Let's see where we get to. It's pretty blustery. I mean, it's a cold, clear day at the moment.
Track crew, Tyler Seitz and his crew really haven't had a chance to chisel the track into a record-breaking opportunity. Although we almost saw the record last night. by Juan of Korea in the second run of men's skeleton was getting colder, harder, faster ice. These are bad lines, pedestrian lines, and that's all they want to do at this stage of their career, get to the bottom.
Coldest winter in almost 40 years. No mandolin wind blowing here today, though. Next up is Justin Olson of the USA with Chris Kinney behind him. Now, Olson's raced here in North America's Cup action. He's been in the 2 and the 4-man, and he's had podiums in both. But his only other World Cup races here were behind Steve Holcomb in 4-man. Astrid Wolf there, part of the officiating crew. Serving jury member from Canada.
Justin didn't get in quickly there. 5:30. You know, I don't understand why this athlete is in the slump that he's in, but Martin, talking to him last week, and he acknowledges more than anybody. He's just in a slump.
It's a little bit like when a tennis player loses his rhythm, when a golfer gets the yips. You know, you need to somehow break out of it. And all the time you've got to remember that good or bad, nothing lasts forever.
Well, this guy who's been down this track a lot, with all the experience he's got, good equipment, is behind the Chinese sled right now.
Reminding us that the 2021 Worlds will be in your hometown, John, Lake Placid.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Took the words out of my mouth.
10th time.
200 tracks. Here we go.
Got a chance to get him on the bottom.
Now, perversely, China has got more recent experience on the track.
100th, their first tie of the day.
5. Going to be the last? Seems unlikely.
Olson beat him by 800 at the start. Just as astonishing that he's in a tie with the less experienced China sled at the bottom.
Man, we got the scabbards.
Chinese have got decent recent experience. And Olson got to get his head around this track again.
Didn't help. This is like, boy.
Little tap and it kicks it back into another skid.
That's as bad a penalty as you could put on yourself.
Put a big steer in there as well. Again,
runner tips here.
Yeah, hauling it off.
Sitting up pretty high. There he settles in a little bit.
So there is Justin Olson.
First, man.
Mike Kahn helping
looking at the
with
sled.
the sled.
Now they get the
Making
scabbards.
sure they get the scabbards on. That protects the runners when they go on the trucks up to the top of the track. Third of our 27 sleds, Timo Rona with Adrian Fassler behind him. Rona, son of Marcel Rona, one of the legends of Swiss bobsledding. Marcel Rona, third in the World Cup rankings in the 99-2000 season. Second was Reto Gurci. The winner was also Swiss Christian Reich.
That's when the Swiss were dominant. Most 3 drivers spanned 3 or 4 Olympics.
Only one other nation has swept the top 3 in a World Cup season. Have a wild stab at which nation it might have been.
All 3 of those drivers you just mentioned all medaled in the Olympic Games.
Yep.
Including Gurci twice.
Well, Rona having a little bit of a wild run again. Never been on this track before in his life. Neither Swiss driver has.
Gurci only medaled once. And this is he's got number 3 all written all over.
Yeah. Third of 3, 4/10 behind the Chinese driver. Again, shows what a good job the Chinese are doing. They have been on the track before. Rona hasn't.
Christoph Langen, that guy on the right, Langen won the 96 World Championships out here, double gold and minus 30-degree temperatures both weekends.
Christoph Langen, the start record holder, still
from that 1996 event when it was that cold.
That day. Yeah, he and Marcus Zimmermann, what animals they were.
Yeah, little issues coming down that long straightaway with a lot of acceleration opportunity.
It's a voyage into the new for the Swiss. Rona and Vogt have not been to North America, and they haven't been to Whistler, so it's going to be an eye-opener for them.
Need to improve their start times.
Well, they're going to need the bravery pills in Whistler. It is quick. Next up, Yeon Jung-won, a Korea, one of only 7 athletes who was in the World Cup race here 4 years ago. He finished 5th then. And Youngwon Seo back behind him. That's the first time Seo's been on the back of a 2-man sled, I think, all year long. Are we getting ready for the World Championships, do you think?
I think we're getting tuned up.
Yeah.
Ooh, late in the good in and down. Let's start 5:27. Now, good conversation with Ron, who speaks great English now compared to last year and the year before. I asked him about you know, North America's really, he's got all his time on those tracks. I said, which one have you down more than any other? He said Lake Placid. Which really shocked me. I thought this had been the track.
Well, that's impressive because he's had 11 two-man races and 10 four-man races here. So he's driven here, raced here 21 times.
Of course, they launched the Korean program in 2009 in March.
Yeah.
2009, right after the World Championships. They spent 5 weeks in Lake Placid.
This is a great looking run from our Olympic silver medalist in the four-man. This is really as close to home ice as they get here in Whistler.
Very clean. I mean, that sled didn't touch a wall.
It's a good run.
Yeah, 27.
Heath Spence on the left there, the former Aussie slider. He's helping with their coaching.
3,300s.
He's also renting out bobsleds and does a lot of summer driving here and in Whistler. That's a good run, and Youngwo Seo, he is not short of horsepower on the back of this sled either, Yun Jung
Watch
Won.
him get in. Boy, that was too much of a power step. Look at his big meat hooks come up and put him out. Look at that runner skid a little bit there.
Yeah.
That was quite a bit of friction and causing a drift.
Nevertheless, 5:27 to start. He has a good lead. So 4th of 27 sleds down. As ever, a big smile from Yun Jung Won.
Carried the Olympic flag for his nation in Korea last year.
Hansi Lochner always smiling. Christopher Weber behind him. Again, the Germans moving around the brakemen to keep them all race fit and to keep them healthy.
Look how tall Hansi is.
Yeah.
Didn't get down. He's had a rough couple weeks. Was tied for the lead with Friedrich last week in the first heat. In the second heat, he had like the 12th or 13th best time, fell all the way to 7th.
Never raced here before. The World Cup, the last time here was December 2014. He made his debut in January 2015 in the first European race of that year.
400s out. Should have been more, should have been more. Little loop there.
Yeah, but think of the experience that Won has got here. 21 plus races, which is
so much.
21 more than Lochner.
500s. But that lead could go away here in the exit.
Oh, little skid, 119.8. He's very close. He's still very close. Not bad.
Juan had unbelievable speed down here.
First ever race on this track for Hansi Lochner and 100 behind Yun Jung Won.
Well, they aren't tied. We got 2 ties already in third.
Yeah.
We got 2 third places. With Olson
100.
Chow.
Let's call that a tie. You wouldn't be able to separate them with your thumb on a stopwatch, that's for sure. So Lochner, first race ever here, and Yun Jung Won, his 22nd race here, are 100th apart. That's a good drive from Hansi Lochner.
Look at him high above that X drive, and then he's got to drive out of there and hit the wall on the exit of 8, and now he's not coming down the straight like he wants to. Exit of Kreisel wasn't bad. His mistake. This was okay. I see him get into the next curve in 10. Yeah, fine. His mistake on the exit 8 to 9 was worth 2/10.
Yeah. There's Christopher Weber and Hansi Lochner, second to Yun Jung Won of Korea. 5 down, 22 to go. Dominik Dvorak and Jakub Noszek of the Czech Republic. Dvorak was here before in 2013. That was his first season as a brakeman for Jan Verber, so he's never driven the track before this week either.
4th place at the opening event in Sigulda. He's hanging around. He's in 4th place at World Cup points. Look at the start. Best start of the competition. I've been saying this is the 100-meter sprinter in the front seat, and I bet you he wins any 100-meter sprint from any driver in the top 25 in the ranking.
10-800 meter man.
So when you can sprint like that in that front seat, what an advantage you got. Just a matter of time before he starts to figure it out.
Well, he's 4th in the World Cup rankings from the Czech Republic. He's figuring it out fast. He doesn't know this track, though, so this is where he comes at a deficit. Even so,
learning curve.
Look at this. He's only a 10th off the leaders.
1800s back. You know, this is great. I mean, give him a couple more years. Learning curve's about a 5-year window in this sport. 26 back, that's great.
That's great. No question, he's going to make the race, and easily.
He's going to be in the top 5 or 6 when we're all said and done.
There's a pretty good chance.
One more German, Canadian guy named Cripps.
Yeah. Cripps, we've got Kiba Manis, we've got Andrinov, who's been training up a storm here.
Roman Heinrich, but you know, the French guy who medaled last week for his first ever. Look at these lines. Look at the energy here. Look at the, I mean, that's textbook. Can't get any better than that.
Absolutely straight runners, look at that. So Matthias Höpfner there in the yellow jacket, that's his little place for filming all these sleds, the German coach.
Germans might be having some issues with the Exeter 8, so that's why he's stationed up there like a bird on a prey.
Plus he's in the sun, you know. Maciej Lūtis of Poland now. Never raced here before either. Krzysztof Tarkowski behind him. And like Dvorak, Lūtis has been having a very good season. 8th in the overall World Cup two-man rankings.
2 7th-place finishes in Koenigsegg St. Moritz. Start time not that bad. He's improved his start for sure, Mark.
Yeah, and given what a tiny sliding nation Poland is, you know, Poland, the Czech Republic, Monaco, France, what a season these smaller nations have been having. The young drivers really hitting their form.
Great for the sport.
Yeah.
Only 1000s back, considering the start. 32, so hanging in there. Little tap.
Top 10 in the World Cup, 9 different nations, including Poland, France, Czech Republic. And Maciej Lūtis, top 4 run, still only 2/10 back. Good speed at the bottom from the Polish sled. Another fine drive from Maciej Lūtis.
126, that's 79.3, 78.4 miles an hour.
This is going to be very interesting to see what drivers with experience, well, basically Justin Cripps, are going to do here. Cripps and Juan were the only drivers, oh, and Nico Walther, 3 of them finished in the top 10 in the last World Cup race 4 years ago.
Not a perfect exit. Bang. Look at the aerodynamic profile. We shouldn't be seeing the brakeman right there. It should be tucked in a little bit.
Yeah, Tarkowski's almost as wide as his tall, Krzysztof, so we'll give him that. Maciej Lūtis happy with that one. He should be.
History.
And there you go. That's a good opening shot, though, from Justin Cripps and Ryan Sommer. Now then, here's another dark horse. Never here before, but Maxim Andrinov has been driving really well in training. Alexei Zaitsev, one of Russia's currently most experienced brakemen behind him.
Zubkov guy. No, Kasanov.
Yeah. Now then, Andrinov again, never here as a driver.
Gonna have to get off into a low 30 start at least to compete here.
But the day started well for Russia. By lunchtime, they had their first
38.
ever women's skeleton World Cup champion.
As we watched training all week, Mark, we kept on seeing him on top of the leaderboard.
Yep.
But a lot of times, nobody tests runners, nobody tests weight. A lot of times you say, let's go push 2 pounds on the sled and to get everybody's attention by winning training.
Well, the other thing is that some of the other teams possibly have got a little more firepower to the start of the race. But for Andrinov, you know, first time on the track, anything in the top 10 is going to be a big result, and he's right on the bubble.
He's not doing like he was in training, 1,500 plus back, 58. This is nothing like we saw him in training.
I think maybe the others have taken a step forward. Andrinov across the line in 11th, 59.16. How far out of the top 10 does that leave him?
Plus, we're at that stage now where the track starts to deteriorate.
Well, there is that as well. So Maxim Andrinov and Alexei Zaitsev.
Andrinov got 12 sleds. They should be way better than that.
Andrinov really enjoying his first trip to North America, though. There's Ilva Hutsin at the back. We'll see him in the 4-man.
Runner tips. They go over that expansion joint, bump, and
doesn't
drifting
steer.
a little bit.
Knows he's going to get straightened up by the tap.
He's on the wrong side. And then here's the exit of Kreisel. Watch him go into the next curve, take on where he wanted to, not in the middle of the curve. Yeah, good lines, just slow.
Well, first time ever here, so he's doing a pretty decent job. Next up is Nico Walther, one of our 7 former World Cup racers.
Wounded.
7th place here 4 years ago.
Still not 100%. Pulled hamstring. He's just Hanging out, getting ready for the 4-man at the World Championship, is what he tells me. Jogging.
Yeah, I mean, look at him. He's almost upright. He's trying to make sure that
hamstring.
That Paul Krantz on the back, or Pavel Kaminsky as he was, for some reason on the start list in Sigulda.
See him lean a little bit around that first curve. We saw Keith Romanis drive around that first curve, which was a no-no.
All right, so 5:37 the start compared to 5:22 of leader Francesco Friedrich, giving away.
He's going to go out to 40, 45, 38. No, that's pretty good. 35 to 38 means he's starting to get to the speed part of the track, and he's 3,800s back.
Nice line.
3,900 speed is
78.5. That's as fast as anything. This new FES 2-man is a flyer.
So are the eyes and hands of the driver.
Yeah, 74.7. Only Crips quicker.
Coming back.
Here we go.
Mission start. Boy, you see him check the runners right there on the exit into the finish curve.
Sixth or fifth.
Sixth. That's unbelievable for him to do that. 10th best start, late in the heat, come into 6th place, and he's wounded. He's running 3/4 speed, saving his hamstring for the World Championships. Not the 2-man.
Well,
the 2-man for him.
And the 4-man.
The 2-man for him is a warm-up. His sights are set on the 4-man. What he tells me.
Nico has really become quite the 2-man driver over the last couple of seasons as well. There used to be predominantly 4-man. He can win in both.
Well, he's a former World Cup Junior Luge champion. He's a former World champion also in junior bobsled.
Yep.
Good to check the runners there. Did you see that?
Olympic silver medalist in the 4-man as well. But that hamstring injury in Altenburg is still following him around like a shadow.
They do. They don't go away.
Yeah, no kidding. Next up is Marcus Treichel, our Junior World Championship silver medalist. Another man who has never driven this track. Christian Huber behind him.
A lot of 10th and 11th place finishes. 7th best start. Motioned himself around there quietly.
Altenburg, 8th place, best result of the season before the Junior Worlds.
Again, he doesn't have the track to work with.
We'll see the Junior World Champion in 2- and 4-man. He gets a free entry to the World Championships. It's a German driver called Richard Ursula, who's never started a World Cup race.
Another German.
Yeah, Francesco Friedrich made his first World Championship starts as the Junior World Champion.
And he won!
Not in his first one, but in his second one he did, yeah. Marcus Treichel, top 12.
He's bringing it back. Speed's pretty decent. 12th.
All right. Well, 7th fastest start, but then lack of knowledge of the track has caught him up a little bit below the Kreisel.
Catherine Brill, his teammate, she's 4th. Not to be afraid of the first heat in the women's competition.
Yeah, Katy Bile, the European Championship bronze medalist and Junior World Championship gold medalist. He took the silver in the 2-man.
Climbing high above the X drive and then diving out of there, and look at the runner tips. That was not the perfect exit out of 8, but boy, he came straight. Now here's Kreisel and a little bit of pressure on the exit.
Treichel not the only Austrian in the race either. We've got Benny Meyer coming up late in the heat. So there's Marcus Treichel in 12th place. A lot of noise at the top from the crowd. You suggest there might be a Canadian sled. It's Nick Polignotto with Neville Wright. Neville 2 races away from the end of an illustrious career as a brakeman for Canada.
28, great start. Something that Polignotto didn't get last week in Lake Placid. That's very competitive. Velocity, 11th best velocity.
1 World Cup race here, only in the 2-man. He was 18th. He's raced here in 2 and 4 in North America's Cup.
19 back, that's a good side. He keeps it around 20, 21. 25, not bad. Stops the bleeding now. They eat into this.
In this field, if he's in the top 6, that's
great.
A really
coming
good
in this
first
position,
heat.
boy, with that line right there.
No kidding.
Speed's great, Bo. It's out to 31. So he's hanging in there. Tavern 8th now. He's coming late in the heat. Doesn't have a lot of great ice to work with. 34, 7. There comes some good speed. He could get into 6th.
At the line, 8th place behind Robin Heinrich by 100th, ahead of Dominik Dvorak by 2, ahead of Matthias Luthi by 4.
He's only 1100ths out of 6th, and he'll have better ice to work with. It'll be more equal for him with the people he's competing against second run.
We're going to have a busy race on our hands.
Record.
Yeah.
History.
Yeah.
Look at this dive out of curve 8. Some compelling pictures. Look at the rudder tips. If you want to learn how to drive and exit curve 8, that was it right there.
Yep.
This isn't bad either. Come on, Nick, make a mistake. You know, his only mistake was the draw. I bet you he moves up in the second run.
All right. 15 down, 12 to go. Francesco Friedrich, the narrow leader in Calgary. Martin Haven, John Morgan trackside in Calgary. The two-man bobsleigh World Cup finals. Ralph Sperchins and Markis Perkulis of Latvia. Ralph never been on this track before.
In bobsleigh.
Now, John.
He might have been on a luge.
Nah.
He came from luge.
Nah. Didn't come out high up to be doing World Cup this far out, I don't think. You got beaten up by the coaches for saying that he looked a bit tall and skinny.
Well, he doesn't have the quads of a Juan from Korea or Friedrich or anybody, but he will. Give him some time. You don't get in the sport, and then you go to the in the off-season. You tend to do a lot of squats in this sport.
Well, look at the height of him. He's 21 years old. He's barely stopped growing vertically. You can't expect him to pack on the muscle yet.
The coaches were on me this morning.
Yeah.
Sanders, Persis.
Yeah, give us time, they said. All right, 15th at the start, 16th on the splits at the moment. Again, you know, for all these drivers that have never raced here before, making the cut in the top 20, that is going to be absolutely fundamental.
Very quiet steering.
Yeah.
A lot of athletes start to lose in this sport. A lot of successful athletes have started. A guy named Andre Lācis, Nico Walther.
Yeah.
A guy named Alexander Zubka.
56.59, so that leaves him in 16th place at the moment, 200 behind Tino Rona. So here's our Lanterne Rouge. He's at the tail of the field. Don't forget, there are 27 sleds, only 20 go through. So he's in for a long 25-minute wait to find out whether he makes the cut or not.
Bounce still. Wasn't like Polinato coming down the middle of the track, and you know the
track is clear.
See all the drivers turn their head the moment they haul it off the final corner. Brakes, brakes, brakes. Otherwise, you just go off into the next counter. 17th of 27 starters, Michael Vogt with Sandro Michel behind him. And again, the Swiss only did Europa Cup last year, only World Cup this year, never been to North America. Now that may not be the most cohesive hit. Looks like Michel went on 1 rather than on 0. Vogt had to catch the sled, 5:31. Again, big starter, and he has learned to drive really quickly, Michel Vogt.
Driving sleds that previously driven by Nico Walther, who's now here coaching the Koreans.
10th fastest start, John, already up to 6th on the splits. Say what? No wonder the Swiss are excited about it.
21-year-old guy in his debut.
Who can drive like this?
Still, this is great. Tap. Watch him in the next curve. Can't fall asleep down here. A lot of time to be lost. You can't gain time in the sport. You can only prevent yourself from losing time. Giving Mother Nature and gravity and your starts. Long as 13. Look at it. Well,
frustration because he was top 6 before the Kreisel and it drifted away below.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I just think the track doesn't have anything left.
Yeah. Well,
but
again,
the start was a one that he'll look at and
talk about missing the snap, and it's the second time we've had a miscounted start.
Cohesion.
Watch the brakeman
move
now.
The driver.
See,
hey, come on with me.
Now, if that was a snap, the driver's leg moved, so that would have been drawing the offense offside there.
Yeah,
he moved his leg, and the brakeman went, but he was just shifting his balance. So
there was no cohesion there.
Yeah. Nevertheless, 5:31, not a bad start, and a really good top of the track. Alexander Friedrich with Dmitry Mikchik behind him. Friedrich, how many times do you think he's been here? Yeah, big fat 0 as well. We are deep in unknown territory with a lot of our athletes. And again, like Mikel Vogt, like Ralph Bertschins, it's going to be about making the cut.
Well, he had an 8th place finish at the second of the 2-man events in Segovia.
Yeah. I've been impressed with his rookie season, actually. I think he's got a lot of potential.
Well, 17th best start.
And
there's
the Russians,
no chance. He has no chance with those type of start times.
Well, the Russians lost Kazyanov, they've lost Stulnev, you know, now Maxim Anjanov, who was kind of 3rd or 4th in the pecking order a couple of seasons ago. He's the #1. So Friedrich here and Popov having to step up very fast.
Good lines. Speed a little off. He's right on the bubble now.
Yeah. He has got good hands, but again, no knowledge of the track prior to this week. And the thing, of course, is you've got to split half your trips in 2-man. You've got to do 4-man as well.
18th,
yeah.
All the way down the track, pretty much the same. 17th best start, 18th at the bottom. He might have got it down to 14th or 15th if he was dealing with a good track.
Now he is 100th behind Ralph Bertschins. That might be the 100th that saves Bertschins' bacon.
Yeah, there's some.
We've seen it before. We'll see it again.
Yeah, Martin, we got another 8, 9, 10 sleds here.
Yep.
Drive around the first curve. He's in there a little late. Way up. Look at the rudder tips. You can't steer that much up top when the speeds are slow.
Track is clear for Evo de Bruin.
Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that's too much friction up there.
Yeah.
Taps there. That doesn't hurt you when you tap at that speed. You know, but when you tap when you're going 15, 20 miles an hour.
Well, that might leave Friedrich in a bit of a hole. 19th of 27 sleds, only 2 spots left in the field. Now, Ivo de Bruin and Dennis Benker for the Netherlands should make it in. Ivo raced here in the World Cup in 2013. He's had lots of North America's Cup races here, and he drives summer bobsleighs for a living. So he knows this track. The question is, can he transform his practice speed into race form?
Dutch guy that he was, he invited our Dutch crew over for some nice steak dinner tonight.
None taken. 5:35, 1300's back at the start, but 3800's back now.
14.
Ivo and Christine live here in Calgary, just about a 15-minute drive from the track. So this is home ice for him, literally as well as metaphorically.
5100, 15 now. Drive himself in. Speed's not there, but I don't think the speed's there for anybody on the track.
14th, that should see him in the race at the very least.
For sure.
Tom Delahunty there, the coach.
13th best start, 14th best finish.
Ivo definitely knows that there is potential there to be quicker in the races. He just can't unlock it.
He's 100th ahead of the Austrian Trikel.
Yeah.
Look at this, little late here. On the wrong side of the straightaway. Look at the rudder tips. You can see the left one. You see him turning a little bit. And here on the exit of the Kreisel into the curve, is he on his terms? Yeah. Here it looks like he gets out of here too early and then comes up on the outlet.
Yeah, he's still holding the steer as the sled gets pushed up. So
that cost a little bit because he had to go in there and steer hard.
Hey guys, we gotta save the track. We need the Calgary track. Love you guys.
Discussion about that this week.
20 of 27 sleds. This is Jeff Gabois for the USA. Adrian Adams, the veteran brakeman behind him. Second World Cup start for Gabois in 2-man.
Saw him get out of the sled the other day in training, and he didn't take a second heat. Only took one yesterday. Hurt his back. So that's the 19 sleds down, 20 sleds down. That's the 19th best start. So that's going to be almost impossible for him to overcome.
Podium finishes here in 2 and 4-man in North America's Cup.
200's back, 18. Driving a BTC sled, but he's the first American to drive a non-Bodine or BMW sled in the World Cup probably in this century.
Yeah. Last time We came here for the World Cup. He hadn't even started driving.
17th, though, considering that start deficiency, still pretty good. You know, but he's been on the track a lot.
Knows the track well, you know, that's his advantage.
16th. That's probably going to get him in the field right there. With that bad back, too. With the 19th best start, he gets 16th.
1900s behind Justin Olson, who started 5:30, 1300s quicker.
Adrian, the brakeman,
Yep.
did make the Olympic team last year, got hurt at the absolute worst time.
Yes. Yeah, that was a
For
tough
after 4
tale.
years of him putting that work into there. And Jeff, man, doesn't look like he's going to get good starts in his career, but has shown us some ability to steer.
And you're right about that back injury. It was his first trip in the four-man. Somebody really hoofed into the back of him as they were loading, and he was having trouble standing up. So don't think he's feeling that well today either. So 20 sleds down, the race is full. Francesco Friedrich leads by a whisker from Justin Cripps, and a hugely tight battle behind. Real battle now is to make it into the field. World Cup debutant Mihai Tentea of Romania, with fellow debutant and fellow 20-year-old Ciprian Docozzi, his brakeman.
This is the youngest team in the competition. 41.
Now, he was in the 2017 World Championships. He was in the 2018 Olympic Championships. He's never started a World Cup race.
I think they'll drive one.
Raced here in the monobob series prior to going to the Youth Olympic Games in 2016, where he finished in 4th.
I would say he's the shortest guy in the competition, too.
Yeah, and one of the lightest as well.
16th place at the moment.
All right, he's driving himself into the race.
That's a
Nice
great
looking
lines right
lines.
there. Still 16th. Stop the bleeding. 4800s.
He's in at
Great
the moment.
line.
Alexander Bredikin in 20th is the man in the drop zone.
Still hanging in there in that 16th spot.
Decent looking take on to corner 14 and at the line.
Pretty good
He's
for this
in and
young guy.
Bredikin is out. 56.07, 200 slower than Ivo de Bruin. He's never been here before.
Wow.
Ivo has been driving this track for probably the better part of a decade.
We talk about personal best, Martin. This is pretty impressive for this young kid.
Yeah. Listen, in a field of 27, as a World Cup rookie on a track you've never seen, to make the cut, 20th would be enough.
Look at the lines.
Yeah.
He's been driving someplace. Look
Yeah.
at, that's as good as it gets.
He's
A
raced in the
little bit on the
European
left
Cup.
side.
Never raced apart from monobob here.
Perfect aerodynamics by his brakeman.
Yeah. Nice stuff.
Paul Miagu coaching him. He knows a few tricks of the trade.
Track is clear.
So Alexander Bredikin is out. Drop zone now for Ralph Berchins. So it's Berchins or Lamindine of Great Britain with Toby Alubi behind him. 20th in the two-man, 5th in the four-man in the last World Cup here, but he's since then taken podium finishes in almost every start he's made in the North America's Cup.
Look at the gallop by Lamin. And that guy in the back. The biggest man in the field. I think he ran too far.
Can't get
Watch
in.
the velocity on the left.
5:34.
14th best velocity, and they had the 12th best speed at the start.
Talking about experience, Lamindine's first World Cup race here was in four-man in 2007. So he knows the track. He's won here in North America's Cup races.
Still leading time.
Yeah, 12th fastest start. There's a skid there. 16th. He's going to drop down to 17th the rating. Another big
Skid.
slide.
Tap, 55. He's 18th.
It's a self-funded program. He's not funded by British sport. He is funding himself 100%. 19th place. He needs this to keep him in the race.
Right on the bubble.
And at the line, 19th. So he's ahead of Tino Rona, Ralph Berchins, and Alexander Bredikin are out. Well, he's only got one sled behind him. Who might upset the apple cart? Benny Meyer, Hunter Church maybe. The second Chinese sled, the second Korean sled. It's not done yet.
Well, I think his start, they ran too far. His is down below. This is curve 8. Little skid here. Watch it gets away from him before he gets to the take-on. Look at this. And if it shows it going to the take-on, that's look at that. The hits, and that's not the way you want to enter that big 300-degree wind around.
might be enough to get him in the race. He'll be looking at the four-man. Well, next up is Yunjin Suk with Kikun Jiang behind him. Suk's first race here in two-man in 2012. He has had 25 races on this track in two-man and four-man in total.
15th in Lake Placid last week.
He has got to make the cut.
Okay, 20th best start. Takes too much of the curve, but the 12th best velocity.
Okay.
So 20th best start, 12th velocity. Lamandine just had 12th best start, 14th velocity. And this is where it starts to pick up right here. Your velocity goes past the track and the speeds are slow and you just got to let the sled accelerate.
Well, he's driven himself into the race as of now. He's ahead of Timo Rona and ahead of Lamandine. Oh, giving a tap. 20th place.
Right on Zupa.
Oh, listen, he's had 25 races here.
20th best start. No.
19th, he is in, he is out. He's back in at the moment. And at the line, 19th, Timo Rona is out and Lamandine is in the drop zone. But yikes, after 25 races, he's in real danger of not making the second heat. Now, not 25 World Cup races, but the ice is the same no matter who else you're racing. They don't move the corners or make it harder for World Cup.
Right there, you saw the crossover, that's 6, 7 to 8. And then the exit of 8, so the mistake in 7 forces him to dive off of 8 a little late, but a little drift. So that mistake right there is caused by the transition from 7 to 8.
I thought he'd be a lot higher up the field than that, given his experience. Well, now the other side of that coin is Hunter Church and Chris Korn, 22-year-old driver, 24-year-old brakeman. 12 North America's Cup races here, Hunter Church. Wins and podiums in two-man and four-man. And he's got to use that experience to make the race.
Chris Horn in the back is a top-ranked decathlete, 7,500 points. His father Kent's here today. I'm supposed to meet him someplace. Communicating a lot with him.
Yeah.
You know, my athlete of choice in the sport of decathletes, I've always mentioned that. Boy, the 24th, that's the worst start in the field. That's going to be tough for Hunter to overcome.
Hunter's got to drive himself into this race now, hasn't he?
This track's all about start times. Pretty good lines.
It's
coming, 22nd.
Yeah.
It's coming.
It's going to be in or out at the last gasp. He's going to have to dip for the line.
He's coming. Speed's good. 19, he's in the race, so he's driving himself into the race.
Lamandine is out at the moment. He could be close on the top 15 by the line.
Good drive down the track.
Place.
Well, 24th best start, 19th finish. The start, again, on this track, that's something you just can't hide.
1/10 behind Jeff Gabouin, and they started 700 slower than Gabouin and Adams.
What was the start? 50.
All right, these two young guys just drove themselves into the race.
Give him some credit, you know, started off way in the back, and then little variance there in 7, climbs in 8. This is a good line in 8, pretty good exit. Look at the runner tips here, look for the spray. Gets out of there very quietly. Good aerodynamics by Chris Horn in the back, who's a first-year athlete.
Yep.
Decathlete.
Second World Cup start for Hunter Church there. Chris Horn behind him, and they may get into the second heat. Benny Meyer now still struggling with a hamstring. Donat Moldovan behind him.
He's jogging. Look, he's just jogging.
Again, like Nico Walther, just making sure there's less weight in the sled, and the brakeman lands like a sack of potatoes, 5:52. Well, Benny desperately trying to recover some speed for the World Championships.
His wife, Elizabeth Meyer, won a medal last night in the women's skeleton, was the leader at the end of the first heat today, but fell to 4th.
They're just about to take the keys to their new apartment here at the top of the track.
He'll come back. I mean, this is a World Cup medalist before, European medalist. Look at the runner tips. Getting himself down. 23.
No question he can still drive, and there is enough ice here as well. Come on, Benny, you can do this. You can get into the race.
21. He's right near it.
It's
75.
For Yunjin
Ooh,
Suk.
tap there, might have hurt him. He's got a chance here. 20th.
So he's ahead of Suk, and Suk, with 25 races on this track, does not make the cut. Man, oh man. 56.30, 600 slower than Hunter Church, who is 19th. Maxim Anjanov is 18th. Jeff Garbois, 17th. There are 2 to go. Meyer might just have done enough.
Yeah, this might have really axed him out of the second heat. Look at these. Look at the eyes. That was right behind the cowling. I mean, this is as good a driver as we have. He just has injuries. That's what's so astonishing about Friedrich. Never hurt.
Absolutely right. So Benny Meyer is in with 2 to go. And our second Chinese debutant is up next. Kai Chi Sun, 22-year-old driver, with Jaito Wu behind him, just 20 years old, making his 5th ever bobsleigh push start in a race.
Good technique. They've obviously been well schooled by Pierre Luters, their coach. Probably spent a lot of time in this push house here.
Their only race outside of North America was the Junior Worlds in Koenigsegg a couple of weeks ago. They finished in the 4th in the 2-man and in the 4-man as well in the under-23 category.
Well, right now they're in the race, 19th, 4,900 specs. But exit here, 8 runner tips. Excellent. Boy, that's as good as it gets right there. 20th.
Their teammates are tied for 11th, and he is in the race right now at the expense of Benny Meyer.
Speed here. Ooh, the speed's up. Right on the bubble with Benny Meyer.
Up to 19th. Where's he
going to do it?
Final corner.
Got it.
23rd.
Whoa, what happened there?
Oh, that's tough.
The father and son team who take the Swiss guys who don't take care of the Chinese sleds. They used to take care of the Korean sleds. They used to take care of the Latvian sleds. Little mercenary background.
Technology for hire. It's no different in sport than in any other undertaking.
Boy, he got it up to 19th.
Yeah.
And then the last
Lost
2
it
corners.
last couple of turns.
This is excellent. Look at the aerodynamic profile of the brakeman. You can't see him. There's a lot of things for persons, the first time we've ever seen the guy, there's a lot of positive things we're looking at.
Whatever else, welcome China to World Cup bobsledding. These guys are 2 or in some cases 1 year into their careers. Final sled on the ice, Dragan Silic of Croatia. Now, we weren't sure that we were going to see these guys again after Europe, but he and Alex Krasniqi are here sliding for Croatia in a rented sled, rented from Australia's Keith Spence. And these guys are so full of life and love of this sport, you just can't put them down. 5.60. Now, can he drive himself into the field from the 27th start?
Not with that skid out of curve 1.
Yeah. Never sat in the sled before this week. Whoa, a big height there.
It's hard to do. Boop, watch out here. Late. Watch out on the outlet. No, he gets through there.
Trying to get a little more ice time before the World Championships.
Started 27th. He stays at 27th.
Again, like a lot of drivers, never on this track, but he's not even in his own sled. So this Calgary track is not that straightforward. There are, like every ice track, traps everywhere. Dragan Silic gets it down safe, 57.86. So I guess he gets his deposit back from the rental firm, right?
I think he's taking the sled along to Whistler.
I think he very probably is. I'd be very surprised if not. Then at least he'll have a few more trips behind its D-rings. Drazen Cilic down and done. Final World Cup appearance of the season for him. Only his 4th World Cup race this year.
Number 2.
Up top, but the speeds are slow. Watch how high this sled gets on. He's up where no one slides up on that part of the track.
Still got it down without bouncing it off the wall. So Cilic.
Plenty of experience driving sleds.
Yep. Those guys so excited to get to the Olympics last year. A race, of course, which our top 2 sliders in this heat tied for the gold medal in. Francesco Friedrich looking to win his 8th race out of 8 this season. Justin Cripps looking to win here in Calgary. Now, those are not mutually exclusive. There's only one way it can happen, John. They've got a tie. They're 400s apart at the end of the first heat.
I'll take a tie.
Everyone on the planet will take a tie right now. Friedrich and Cripps are ahead of Yunjong 1, but 1, look, Lochner, Kibermanis right behind. That's a 3-way basic dead heat for bronze. Nico Walther, could he jump into medals? Yes, he could. What about Roman Heinrich, Nick Polinato, Dominic Dvorak, Matthias Luthi, Shao of China, Olson of the USA, Mikhail Vogt? They're all within 1100ths of a second of each other. We're going to see a lot. And look, 5800s, 5900s, 6000s.
All I want to see is the guy sweep the season.
Well, we're
never going to see it in our career.
We're going to see a lot of excitement before we get to the denouement here. And before we do that, we'll have the second and final run of the season of the Women's Bobsleigh World Cup. Men will be back on ice at 3:45 local, 22:45 GMT. But in 15 minutes, the women will be back for their final run of the World Cup season.